The school bus rattled down the road, its windows fogged with the breath of laughing teenagers. In the third row, Lily Bennett made herself small, hood pulled up, music turned off, praying today would be different. But then came the familiar scrape of sneakers stopping beside her seat. "Hey, Mouse," Derek sneered, his fingers already curling into her collar. The fabric tore with a sound like thunder, exposing her bare shoulder to the jeering crowd. That's when everything changed. Lily's hand moved faster than thought, one sharp strike to Derek's throat that left him gasping like a fish on dry land. The laughter died instantly. The bus went silent. And in that frozen moment, Lily realized the quiet girl they'd pushed around for years didn't exist anymore. But this was just the beginning, because something will happen next in this story that you would have never imagined. A secret so explosive, a twist so shocking, it will change everything you thought you knew about bullies, victims, and what happens when the quiet ones finally fight back. From which country are you enjoying this story? Let us know in the comments, and make sure to subscribe, because the real battle is just about to begin. The school bus rattled along the potholed road, its engine groaning under the weight of another monotonous afternoon. Lily Bennett sat in her usual seat, third row from the back, window side, hood pulled up like a shield. Her earbuds were in, but no music played. She just needed the world to think she wasn't listening, that she wasn't there. Around her, the usual noise swirled. Laughter, shouts, the occasional crumple of a paper ball hitting the floor. None of it was meant for her, and that was fine. Better than fine. Invisible was safe. Then the shadow fell over her. She didn't have to look up to know who it was. Derek Hargrove's cologne, something cheap and too strong, hit her first. Like gasoline and candy. "Hey, Mouse." The nickname slithered into her ear, even through the earbuds. She kept her eyes on the glass, on her own faint reflection. Maybe if she didn't move, didn't breathe, he'd get bored. A snort. Then fingers, blunt and careless, yanked the cord of her earbuds free. Music she hadn't been playing died instantly. "Look at me when I'm talking to you." She looked. Derek smirked, his teeth too white, his eyes too bright. Behind him, his friends loomed like poorly made copies. Tyler, with his perpetual sneer. Jake, who never spoke, just laughed when Derek did. "What do you want?" Lily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Derek's grin widened. "Just saying hi. You never talk to anyone. We're worried you'll, forget how." A chuckle from Tyler. A snicker from Jake. Lily's fingers curled into the fabric of her hoodie. "I remember how." "Yeah." Derek leaned in, his breath hot and sour. "Prove it." She should have seen it coming. She'd been through this before. The taunts, the little shoves, the way they'd crowd her just to see her flinch. But this time, his hand shot out, grabbed the neck of her shirt, and pulled. The fabric tore with a sound like skin splitting. Cold air hit her back. The bus, loud a second ago, went dead silent. Lily didn't move. Couldn't. The shock of it pinned her in place. The humiliation, the violation, it wasn't just the torn shirt. It was the way the laughter started up again, louder now. The way Derek's face twisted in triumph. The way her reflection in the window showed her wide, terrified eyes. Then something in her snapped. Later, she wouldn't remember deciding to move. There was no thought, no plan. Just a white-hot surge and the memory of her uncle's voice in her ear. Asterisk, when you strike, you don't hesitate. Her hand shot out, not a fist, not a slap. A precise, brutal chop straight to Derek's throat. The sound he made wasn't human. It was a wet, choked gasp, the kind of noise a drowning man might make. His hands flew up, clawing at his neck, his face purpling. He stumbled back, crashed into Tyler, and they both went down in a tangle of limbs. The bus erupted. Someone screamed. The driver shouted, the brakes screeched. Lily stood there, her breath coming in short, sharp bursts, her hands shaking. Not from fear. From something else entirely. Derek writhed on the floor, still gagging. His friends stared at her like she'd grown fangs. No one laughed now. The silence stretched, thick and heavy, until the bus driver finally found his voice. "What the hell just happened?" Lily looked down at Derek, at the tears in his eyes, at the way his chest heaved. She thought of all the times she'd curled into herself, made herself small, prayed they'd just leave her alone. She straightened her shoulders. "He fell," she said, and for the first time in years, she didn't look away. The principal's office smelled like old coffee and cheap air freshener. Lily sat stiffly in the chair across from his desk, her fingers knotted together in her lap. The torn edges of her shirt had been hastily pinned together with safety pins from the nurse's office, but she could still feel the occasional brush of air against her skin, a reminder of what had happened. Principal Higgins sighed and rubbed his temples. "Lily, I've already heard 3 different versions of what happened on that bus. Now I'd like to hear yours." She swallowed. The words stuck in her throat. Across the room, Derek slumped in another chair, his face still red, his fingers absently touching the bruise blooming on his neck. His father, Officer Hargrove, stood behind him, arms crossed, his expression dark. "Go on," Higgins prompted. "Start from the beginning." Lily took a breath. "Derek tore my shirt," she said quietly. Higgins frowned. "And then?" She hesitated. Officer Hargrove snorted. "And then she assaulted him." Lily's head snapped up. He what?" Hargrove challenged. "He looked at you funny? Said something you didn't like? That doesn't give you the right to put your hands on him." Her nails dug into her palms. "He tore my shirt open in front of everyone." Higgins held up a hand. "Derek, is that true?" Derek smirked just a little. "It was an accident. I was just messing around and it ripped. No big deal." Lily stared at him. Higgins sighed again. "Lily, regardless of what happened, violence isn't the answer. You understand that, don't you?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. Because what could she say? That she'd spent years swallowing every insult, every shove, every cruel laugh? That she'd tried ignoring them, tried reporting them, tried everything except fighting back? That today, for once, she hadn't just taken it? Higgins took her silence as agreement. "Given the circumstances, I think a 3-day suspension is appropriate." Lily's stomach dropped. Officer Hargrove scoffed. "That's it?" She could have seriously hurt him. "And Derek's behavior was unacceptable," Higgins said firmly. "He'll also serve a suspension." Derek's smirk vanished. "What? But she..." "Enough," Higgins said. "This isn't up for debate." Lily stood abruptly. The chair scraped against the floor. Higgins blinked. "Lily, I'd like to call my uncle," she said. Her voice didn't shake. Higgins hesitated, then nodded. "Of course, you can use the phone in the nurse's office." She turned and walked out, ignoring Derek's muttered curse, ignoring Officer Hargrove's glare. Her hands were steady now, because for the first time, she wasn't afraid. The fluorescent lights in the nurse's office buzzed like trapped insects as Lily picked up the phone. Her fingers hesitated over the buttons. She hadn't called her uncle for help in years. Not since the first time Derek shoved her into a locker and she came home with a bruised shoulder. "You don't run from fights," he'd said, asterisk, "but you don't start them either." Asterisk back then, she'd been too quiet to argue. Now, the dial tone pulsed in her ear like a heartbeat. He answered on the second ring. Asterisk, "Lily?" Just something in his voice, that immediate alertness, like he'd been waiting for this call, made her throat tighten. "I'm in the principal's office," she said. "They're suspending me." The pause. Then, low and careful, asterisk, "What happened?" Just, she told him. The ripped shirt. The strike. Derek's father looming in the room like a storm cloud. When she finished, the line was so silent she thought they'd been disconnected. Asterisk, "I'm on my way." Just 20 minutes later, the office door swung open. Her uncle, Marcus, filled the doorway, not just tall, but built, his marine tattoos peeking from under his sleeves. Principal Higgins straightened up like a cadet called to attention. Officer Hargrove's jaw tightened. Marcus didn't look at either of them. He crossed the room in 3 strides and stopped in front of Lily. "Show me," he said quietly. She turned slightly, letting him see the safety pins straining against torn fabric. His expression didn't change, but his hands curled into fists. Higgins cleared his throat. Mr. Cole, we've already determined the consequences. Consequences? Marcus turned. You mean how your school let a girl get assaulted on a bus, then punished her for defending herself? Hargrove stepped forward. Your niece choked my son. She stopped your son, Marcus corrected, voice like gravel. Big difference. The room crackled with tension. Lily watched Higgins' face flicker, calculating the risk of a lawsuit, the viral potential of a video, because of course someone had recorded it, the weight of an angry cop versus an ex-Marine who looked like he could break the desk in half. Finally, Higgins exhaled. Perhaps we can revisit the disciplinary measures. Hargrove's face darkened. You can't be serious. If, Higgins continued, louder, Lily agrees to attend conflict resolution counseling. And Derek serves detention for inappropriate conduct. Marcus glanced at Lily. She gave the tiniest nod. Fine, he said. But here's my condition. He leaned over Higgins' desk, planting both hands on the wood. If your school can't keep my niece safe, I will. And next time? A sharp smile. I'll teach her how to hit harder. Silence. A snort from the corner. Derek, smirking. Yeah, right. Like some karate. Marcus moved. Not toward Derek, but to the trophy case by the wall. He plucked a solid brass award from the shelf, hefted it in his palm, then crushed it into a twisted lump with one hand. Derek's mouth snapped shut. Marcus dropped the medal with a clang. See you at home, Lily. When the door closed behind him, even the air felt different. Lily stood. Can I go now? Higgins just nodded. She walked out, head high, past Derek's stunned face, past the whispers in the hallway. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Saw what you did. Meet me behind the bleachers at 3. The final bell rang at 2:45 p.m., a shrill electronic scream that sent students flooding into the hallways like ants from a kicked-over hill. Lily waited until the crowd thinned before slipping out the side door near the gymnasium. The late afternoon sun hung low and heavy in the sky, painting the schoolyard in long, distorted shadows. The bleachers loomed ahead, an ancient, rusted structure that groaned in the wind. Lily's sneakers crunched over dead grass as she approached. Her ribs still ached from the adrenaline crash of the morning, a dull throb beneath her safety-pinned shirt. Saw what you did. The text had come from a blocked number. No signature, no follow-up. Just a time and a place. Lily rounded the corner of the bleachers and froze. A girl leaned against the metal supports, one combat boot propped against the siding. She wore a leather jacket 2 sizes too big, her dark hair shaved on one side. A cigarette dangled from her fingers, unlit. Lily knew her. Everyone did. Mircho, the girl who'd broken Brandon Fisher's nose last year for grabbing her ass in the cafeteria. The girl who'd supposedly spray-painted, "This school eats ITS young," across the principal's car. The girl who never, ever talked to anyone. Until now. Mira exhaled a phantom cloud of smoke. Took you long enough. Lily's fingers twitched at her sides. You texted me? Obviously. Mira flicked the cigarette away. You're trending, by the way. #KarateGirls got 500,000 views. She pulled out her phone, swiped, and held it up. A video of Derek crumpling, hands clawing at his throat. Lily's stomach lurched. I didn't. Save it. Mira pocketed the phone. I'm not here to judge. I'm here to recruit. Recruit? Mira pushed off the bleachers. Up close, she smelled like gasoline and mint gum. You know how many girls Derek's pulled that shit with? How many kids in this school get pushed around every damn day? Her eyes, sharp and black as obsidian, locked onto Lily's. You're the first one who ever hit back. A gust of wind rattled the bleachers. Somewhere in the distance, a car backfired. Lily swallowed. What do you want? Mira grinned. It wasn't a nice expression. To burn this place down. And then she pulled a folded flyer from her jacket. Lily took it. The paper was thick, cheaply printed. At the top, block letters screamed, "Fight back." Underneath, a list of dates, times, locations. Mira tapped the bottom line. Tonight, 8 p.m. Old train yard. Bring gloves. Lily's pulse pounded in her ears. What is this? Self-defense club. Mira turned to leave, then glanced back over her shoulder. Oh, that's what we're calling it for the school board. Her grin widened. Really, it's war. The train yard smelled like rust and rain. Lily stood at the chain-link fence, her breath fogging in the cold air. The flyer burned a hole in her pocket. She shouldn't be here. But where else did she have to go? A shadow moved in the darkness. Then another. And another. Girls emerged from the gloom, some Lily recognized from the halls, others complete strangers. A redhead with a busted lip. A Latina girl clutching her arm like it hurt. A tiny freshman with glasses taped together at the bridge. Mira stepped into the flickering light of a dying street lamp. You came. Lily's voice stuck in her throat. Mira didn't wait for an answer. She turned to the group. Rule 1, no phones. Rule 2, no names. Rule 3, she cracked her knuckles. Hit hard. And then, the lesson began. The abandoned train car echoed with the sound of fists hitting leather pads. Lily's arms burned as she held the makeshift punching bag, an old duffel stuffed with newspaper, while Mira demonstrated a proper cross. Rotate your hips, Mira barked, her breath fogging in the cold night air. It's not about arm strength. It's about your whole damn body. Lily watched the other girls. There were 12 of them now, shadows moving in the dim glow of battery-powered lanterns. Some were clumsy, their strikes hesitant. Others hit like they'd been waiting their whole lives for permission. A girl with a split lip, Lily thought her name was Jess, stepped forward. What if they're bigger than me? Mira didn't smile. Then you fight dirtier. She grabbed Jess' wrist, twisted, and suddenly Jess was on her knees, Myra's fingers pressed against her carotid. Pressure point. 2 seconds, they're dizzy. 5, they're down. Lily's stomach clenched. This wasn't karate class with her uncle. This was something raw. Something real. Mira released Jess. Partners. Lily found herself paired with a quiet girl named Aisha, whose right eye was still yellowed from an old bruise. They practiced palm strikes against each other's padded hands. You're good, Aisha murmured. Lily shook her head. I just got lucky this morning. Aisha's grip tightened on the pad. No, you didn't. A crash echoed through the train yard. Everyone froze. Mira was moving before the rest of them could react, snatching up a metal pipe from the ground. Lights out. Darkness swallowed them whole. Lily's pulse roared in her ears. Footsteps crunched on gravel. Looking for someone? Derek's voice. Lily's blood turned to ice. A flashlight beam cut through the dark, sweeping across the train cars. There were at least 5 of them, Derek's usual crew, plus 2 older guys Lily didn't recognize. One carried a baseball bat. Myra's hand found Lily's wrist. Back exit, she breathed. Go. But Derek was already laughing. What is this? Some kind of pussy fight club? The beam of light landed on Jess, still kneeling where she'd been practicing. Derek's grin widened. Oh hey Fisher, didn't your mom teach you not to play in trash? Jess flinched. Something inside Lily snapped. She stepped into the light. Derek's smile faltered. For a second, no one moved. Careful, Hargrove, Lily said. Her voice didn't shake. You might choke. The silence that followed was absolute. Derek's face darkened. He took a step forward. Myra's pipe clanged against the train car. Wrong move, she said. And then all hell broke loose. The police lights painted the train yard in pulsing blues and reds. Lily sat on the back bumper of an ambulance, a shock blanket draped over her shoulders despite her insisting she wasn't in shock. Across the lot, Derek whined to his father while a paramedic dabbed at his bloody nose. Attacked us. Officer Hargrove's glare could have melted steel. You're telling me a dozen girls just happened to be here? With weapons? Mira, leaning against a cop car, smirked. Self-defense class, officer. Totally legal. The cop taking Lily's statement, a tired-looking woman with salt and pepper hair, sighed. Kid, you want to tell me what really happened? Lily looked past her, to where Aisha was helping Jess into another ambulance. To the freshman with glasses, still clutching her notebook like a lifeline. To Mira, who met her gaze and gave the smallest nod. "We were practicing karate," Lily said. "They showed up with a bat." The cop's pen paused. "And?" Lily flexed her bruised knuckles. "And they learned something new today." The fluorescent lights of the hospital waiting room hummed like an angry beehive. Lily sat stiffly in the plastic chair, her uncle Marcus pacing in tight circles beside her. The antiseptic smell of the place clung to the back of her throat, mixing with the metallic taste of adrenaline still coursing through her veins. 3 broken fingers. That's what the doctor had said when they brought Jess in. Not from the fight, from when one of Derek's friends had stomped on her hand as she lay on the ground. Marcus stopped pacing suddenly, his boots squeaking against the linoleum. "Look at me." Lily looked up. Her uncle's face was all hard angles under the harsh lighting, the scar across his eyebrows standing out white against his dark skin. "Start from the beginning," he said. "And this time, don't leave anything out." So she told him. About the fight club. About Mira. About the way Derek and his friends had come looking for blood. Marcus listened without interrupting, his expression growing darker with every word. When she finished, he exhaled slowly through his nose, the way he always did when he was trying not to lose his temper. "You should have told me," he said finally. Lily picked at the edge of the shock blanket still draped around her shoulders. "Would you have let me go?" "No." "Then that's why." Marcus opened his mouth, then closed it again when his phone buzzed. He pulled it out, scowled at the screen, and muttered a curse under his breath. Lily caught a glimpse of the headline before he could angle it away. "School Fight Club Exposed. Vigilante Girls or Dangerous Radicals?" The article had a picture. Her picture. Marcus saw her looking and shoved the phone back in his pocket. "Don't worry about that." But it was too late. The seed of dread had already taken root in Lily's stomach. Because if the news had the story, then so did everyone else. So did the school. So did Derek's father. Principal Higgins' office was packed. Lily sat sandwiched between Marcus and a fuming Officer Hargrove, while Mira slouched in the corner like she couldn't care less. The air smelled like sweat and stale coffee, thick with tension. On Higgins' desk, a tablet played the now viral video of the train yard fight on loop. Complete disregard for school policy. Higgins was saying, his face blotchy with anger. He jabbed a finger at the screen. "This is assault." Marcus leaned forward, his voice dangerously calm. "Funny. The police report calls it self-defense." Officer Hargrove slammed his hand down on the desk. "My son needed stitches." "Your son brought a bat to a fistfight," Mira said without looking up from her nails. Higgins ignored her. "Effective immediately, all students involved are suspended pending investigation." He leveled a look at Lily. "Including you, Miss Bennett." Marcus stood so fast his chair screeched. "Like hell she is." The argument raged for another hour. Threats of lawsuits, counter-threats of police reports, Higgins alternately sweating and blustering while Officer Hargrove glared daggers at Lily. Through it all, Mira stayed eerily quiet, watching the room like a chess player planning her next move. It wasn't until they were dismissed that she finally moved, catching Lily's arm in the hallway. "Meet me at the diner on 5th, she murmured. 2 hours. Then she was gone, melting into the crowd of students before Lily could respond. Marcus was quiet on the drive home. Too quiet. It wasn't until he pulled into their driveway that he finally spoke. "You're not going." Lily stared at the cracked vinyl of the dashboard. "I have to." "No, you don't." Marcus turned off the engine with a sharp twist of the key. "This isn't a game, Lily. That video? The suspension? It's just the beginning. Hargrove will come after you." Lily flexed her bruised knuckles, thinking of Jess' broken fingers. Of Aisha's yellowed bruise. Of every whispered insult and shoved locker and torn shirt she'd endured for years. "I know," she said, and she got out of the car. The diner smelled like grease and burnt coffee. Lily slid into the back booth where Mira sat, 2 untouched milkshakes between them. Mira pushed one across the table. "They're expelling us tomorrow." Lily froze with her hand halfway to the shake. "What?" "Got a text from Aisha's sister. Works in the office." Mira took a long sip of her shake. Hargrove's pulling strings. The straw crumpled in Lily's grip. We can't let that happen. Myra's smile was all teeth. We won't. She pulled out a folded piece of paper, a printout of the school's blueprints, certain rooms highlighted in red. Hall monitors change shifts at 1:15, Mira said, tapping one of the highlights. Security cameras reboot at 1:30. That gives us 15 minutes. Lily's stomach dropped. You want to break in? No. Myra's eyes gleamed. I want to burn it down. Not literally, as it turned out. The plan was simpler and more dangerous. They were going to steal the security footage. All of it. Every time Derek and his friends had shoved someone in the halls, every locker they'd vandalized, every threat they'd whispered where they thought no one was listening. The school had the proof. And now, so would they. The alarm panel blinked red in the darkness. Lily held her breath as Mira worked the wires, her fingers moving with practiced precision. Somewhere in the distance, a janitor's cart squeaked down the hallway. Almost, Mira whispered. A click. The light turned green. Lily exhaled. Phase 1, complete. The hallway stretched before them, lit only by the dim emergency lights. It felt surreal to be back here after hours, the school's usual chaos replaced by an eerie silence. The air smelled like industrial cleaner and something faintly metallic, like the time Lily had gotten a nosebleed in gym class and smeared blood across the locker room tiles. Mira moved like a shadow, her black hoodie blending into the darkness. Lily followed, her sneakers squeaking slightly on the waxed floor. Every sound seemed magnified in the empty building. The main office door was locked, but Mira had come prepared. She pulled a set of lockpicks from her pocket. Asterisk, YouTube tutorial, asterisk, she mouthed when Lily raised an eyebrow, and went to work. Somewhere in the building, a door slammed. Lily froze. Did you hear? Mira shook her head sharply. The lock gave way with a quiet snick. The office was dark, the rows of filing cabinets looming like gravestones. The security server sat in the corner, a blinking tower of electronics. Mira was already moving toward it, USB drive in hand. Then the footsteps started. Not from the hallway. From inside the office. Lily's pulse spiked. There was no time to hide. The door to the principal's private office was swinging open, lights spilling out. Derek stepped into the room. He wasn't alone. Principal Higgins followed, his face drawn and tired. Neither of them had noticed Lily and Mira yet. They were too absorbed in their hushed conversation. Can't keep covering for you, Higgins was saying. He sounded exhausted. The school board is asking questions. That video. Derek sneered. You think I care about some stupid video? My dad owns this town. Higgins pinched the bridge of his nose. Your father doesn't own me. And if this footage gets out. Footage. Lily's eyes met Myra's. They'd come for the security tapes, but it sounded like Higgins and Derek were discussing something else entirely. Mira mouthed a single word, asterisk, wait. Derek was pacing now, his movements jerky with barely contained anger. Then deleted. How hard is that? Higgins hesitated. It's not that simple. The system archives. I don't care. Derek slammed his fist down on a desk, sending a stapler clattering to the floor. The sound echoed through the silent office. That bitch humiliated me. And now she's going to pay. Lily's breath caught in her throat. Higgins looked like he wanted to argue, but before he could speak, Derek's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, and a slow, ugly smile spread across his face. Perfect, he murmured. Right on time. Then he turned and saw them. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Derek's smile widened. Oh, this is convenient. Mira reacted first. She lunged for the server, USB drive outstretched. But Derek was faster. He grabbed Higgins' desk lamp and swung. The crash of shattering glass filled the room as the lamp exploded against the server tower. Sparks flew, the machine sputtering and dying with a final, pathetic whir. Mira cursed. Derek laughed. Oops. Higgins looked between them, his face pale. What are you doing here? Lily didn't answer. Her eyes were locked on Derek's phone, still glowing in his hand. On the text message visible on the screen. Asterisk phase 2 ready. Say the word, asterisk. And suddenly she knew. This wasn't just about the security footage. Derek had planned this. All of it. And they'd walked right into his trap. The fire alarm screamed to life. Lily's hands flew to her ears as the klaxon blared, the sudden noise like a physical blow. Red emergency lights strobed, painting the office in hellish flashes. Derek grinned. Right on schedule. Higgins looked panicked. What did you do? But Derek was already moving, shoving past them toward the door. Better run, girls. Wouldn't want to get caught breaking in during a fire. The implication hit Lily like a punch to the gut. This wasn't just a distraction. It was a frame job. Mira grabbed her arm. Asterisk. They burst into the hallway just as the sprinklers kicked on, icy water drenching them instantly. Somewhere in the building, smoke began to curl, not the thick black of a real fire, but the thin, chemical haze of a smoke bomb. Derek's voice echoed down the hall, barely audible over the alarm. Asterisk, catch you later, mouse. Asterisk. Then he was gone. Mira swore violently. We need to get out. Now. Lily didn't argue. They ran, slipping on the wet floor, the alarm screaming in their ears. The sprinklers had turned the hallway into a funhouse mirror of distorted reflections and shifting shadows. Then the screaming started. Not from the alarm, from outside. Lily skidded to a stop at the nearest window. The parking lot below was chaos. Students, dozens of them, way more than should be here this late, were scattering as smoke poured from the gymnasium doors. News vans lined the street, cameras already rolling. And at the center of it all, Derek stood with his arms spread like a ringmaster, basking in the pandemonium. Mira pulled Lily away from the window. He set this whole thing up. The fight club, the break-in, all of it starred. Lily's stomach turned. Because she was right. Derek had wanted them here tonight. Wanted them caught on camera breaking in while his little fire distracted everyone. And now? Now it looked like they'd started it. The police station smelled like burnt coffee and stale sweat. Lily sat on a hard plastic chair, her clothes still damp from the sprinklers, watching the second hand of the wall clock tick with agonizing slowness. They'd been separated immediately, Mira taken to another interrogation room, while Lily was left to wait under the watchful eye of a stone-faced officer. The door creaked open. Officer Hargrove stepped inside, his polished boots clicking against the linoleum. He carried a manila folder thick with papers, which he dropped onto the table with a deliberate thud. Lily Bennett, he said, taking the seat across from her. Breaking and entering. Destruction of property. Arson. He ticked each charge off on his fingers. Quite the rap sheet for a girl who supposedly just wanted to defend herself. Lily's throat tightened. We didn't start that fire. Hargrove opened the folder. Inside were glossy photographs, the smashed server, the broken window they'd allegedly used to enter, the smoke billowing from the gym. The last one made her stomach clench. A blurry security still of two figures in hoodies slipping into the school. Recognize these people? Hargrove slid the photo toward her. Even pixelated, Lily could tell it was her and Mira. That's not. Because here's the thing, Hargrove continued as if she hadn't spoken. Principal Higgins is prepared to testify that you threatened him earlier today. That you were overheard planning to burn the school down. He leaned forward, his breath reeking of spearmint gum. And thanks to your little stunt at the train yard, the whole town already believes you're violent. A knock at the door interrupted them. Hargrove scowled as another officer leaned in. Sir, you need to see this. What now? The officer hesitated, glancing at Lily. It's the security footage. The real footage. The precinct's break room TV was tuned to Channel 7 News. Lily stood between Marcus and a shell-shocked Mira, watching as the screen cut to shaky cell phone footage of Derek and his friends planting smoke bombs in the gym. But that wasn't the damning part. The video cut again, this time to a time-stamped recording from the school's Real security server, the one Derek had smashed in Higgins' office. The footage showed Derek and his friends cornering a freshman in the locker room, the violence so brutal Lily had to look away. Then another clip. And another. A montage of every cruel act the school had ignored for years, all time-stamped, all undeniable. The reporter's voiceover was grim. These videos, allegedly leaked by an anonymous source within the school district, have raised serious questions about the administration's handling of bullying allegations. Mira exhaled sharply. Holy shit. Lily turned to see Officer Hargrove storming out of the chief's office, his face purple with rage. Behind him, Principal Higgins was being read his rights. Marcus squeezed Lily's shoulder. It's over. But as Lily watched the news footage switch to a live shot of Derek being led out of his house in handcuffs, she knew the truth. It wasn't over. It was just beginning. The school board meeting was standing room only. Lily sat in the front row between Marcus and Aisha, listening as speaker after speaker took the podium to demand change. Jess, her hands still bandaged, spoke through tears about the day Derek broke her fingers. A freshman Lily didn't know described being locked in a locker for 3 hours. Even Mira, usually so composed, choked up describing how the school had ignored her complaints for years. When it was Lily's turn, the room fell silent. She unfolded the torn shirt she'd worn that first day on the bus and laid it across the podium. This is what it took, she said, her voice echoing in the hushed room. This is what we had to do to be heard. The applause lasted 10 full minutes. Epilogue. 1 year later. The new self-defense class had a waiting list. Lily stood at the front of the gym, watching as Aisha demonstrated a proper wrist lock for the newest students. Outside, the spring sun shone through the windows, painting the mats in gold. Mira bumped her shoulder. Think we should tell them we learned most of this from YouTube? Lily laughed. Somewhere in the distance, a car backfired. She didn't flinch. The end.